Hey everyone, basically, I'm going to do something that I never thought I would actually do here. Well, actually, to be quite honest, knowing my track record of the videos I've done before, it practically is part of what I'm doing on this account. But essentially, it's this: the fact of that, like, people right now are complaining about how a celebrity, by the name of Luke Bateman, right, a very well-known celebrity and a person who is very well known for their looks, is essentially getting a book deal without publishing or even having a manuscript given. Why does this infuriate people? It's not because it's an individual who got it published without a manuscript. It's because they are a white, straight, conventionally attractive male, which I do not get, right? I've seen many videos of people, right, who are male, who are white or whatever, where they're like, listen, I cannot get my book published for the simple reason that I cannot fit into the DEI standards. But when everything is DEI and only minorities get into something like publishing and agents only take care of minorities, then therefore the minorities become the majority. The people who you are trying to remove from the system become the minorities, and you've essentially just created a new minority in your system, right? This is why I believe men don't read as much anymore, because they believe, listen, there aren't as many people who are like me in this. That is the whole genuine consensus of why people sometimes buy novels. It's not just about what the context is, what's in it, what they do, but it's also about who the author is. Can I relate to them, you know? One of the biggest reasons why Charles Dickens was such a great author and how he could write so much about the specific topics that he writes about is simply because that Charles Dickens lived in the kind of lifestyle that most of his books were upon, you know? Like, life imitates art imitates life. For example, for me, right, when I published my book 15 World War Stories, people might tell me, Bo, but you never experienced World War I or World War II. So that's why I interviewed and talked to people who went through it. And I'm a huge fan of those two eras, and I experiment more on the emotional and psychological part of those conflicts. And I think Luke Bateman is actually a good choice. Why? Because he's a good-looking man, and most of BookTok is basically smut. Yeah, I see you, Samantha. I see you, Kylie. See you, Christina. Okay, with your fucking books. Okay, why you have Colleen Hoover? Get out of your catalog, bro. Get a John Green book. You know, get something nice. What's up with you guys, right? And absolutely saying, I am just gonna read, basically, like the most disgusting, most depraved smut, and watch it on the bus. You know, this is like, luckily, you know, I have a car and don't have to see you weirdos. But I've seen these book talks and me trying to get like some inspiration, information on what I should do, you know, as an author and how to delve more into the romance genre. And all I'm saying is just, well, damn, everybody just wants to see smut. They just want everyone to get the fuck on, man. Like, no, you know, like I'm literally writing two romance books at the same time. Project 3 and Project 4. Project Princess and the Scarecrow and Project Bound by Leather. Right? These are supposed to be romance. And I mean genuine romance, right? And funnily enough, as an individual who sort of never had to experience that, I'm trying my best to get into it. But I think it's pretty ridiculous how people, right, are simply gatekeeping something that has been an art and has been something that people voice their opinions, their concerns, and their stories for millennia. And then some people, because, you don't look like me, so they cannot publish like me. What do you mean? You're the reason why these publishers chose Luke Bateman to get a book deal. Because he's good looking, he's athletic, and he's very well known. How do you think books get sold? They need to make money. Like, sure, my book, I'm going to show it again. Okay, it's upside down. Has barely sold any copies. Maybe sold 4 or 5 copies in the 5 years it's been published. But I understand, and it's self-published. But I understand that a publisher has to publish a book for the simple reason to make money. That's how capitalist society works, you know? Profits and losses. That's how business works. And people are like, oh please, oh please, oh please, oh please, excuse me, because I am minority. Okay? I am 700 pounds. I'm blind. I'm deaf. Have no hands and no knees. I type with my nose. He wants to buy my book. What's it about? Oh, it's about two fat women banging in an orphanage. Why? What? I do not want to see another book about step family members just getting their shit on, right? When it's like a 50-year-old man who's known like the girl who coincidentally just turned 18 and has basically fallen in love with her since she was 3. Why? What's up with these people? So one person who got in because they're good looking, and I bet everything I have and everything I own, if this person was a different color, or they were slightly more attractive, they were a more known name, you guys would have shut the fuck up and let it down. But it's my, what do you mean your meal ticket? You go into writing, let me say this, I didn't go into writing for the money. I'm telling you right the fuck now, okay? I'm not being a lot more vulgar than usual, but this is the truth, right? I didn't get into writing for the money. I went into writing and publishing because I love publishing my works. If I wanted to make money, I would have not reduced the price as low as I have to the point I barely make any money for myself, right? I wouldn't be collaborating and writing books, even though I know that my books will not be bestsellers. Why? Because I love the characters I write. I love the stories I tell. I love when people tell me, oh, I like the story. And not only that, they tell me their perspectives of the stories I wrote that I never thought of before. Because that's what the beauty of reading is. And writing as well. It is the communication and the spreading of what is the beauty of storytelling. But if you gatekeep the most simple part of what society has done for a millennium, I'm sorry, you're a cunt. You're a fucking cunt, and you just shut the fuck up, log off your fucking phones, and never bitch and moan again. Thank you. Goodbye.